You better get used to me saying this because it's probably going to happen a lot, but Tesla has once again broken the delivery record in the second quarter of this year. Just this morning, they posted their estimated deliveries, which are to be looked at as slightly conservative because they only consider vehicles delivered that have all the paperwork signed and are officially handed over to customers. So the actual number may be a little bit higher, but they're reporting 201,250 vehicles delivered within a 3-month period, which is the first time Tesla has ever broken the 200,000 vehicle delivery mark. And because last year they were kind of hit by the factory shutdowns in the second quarter, this is a tremendous year-over-year growth of over 120%. And of course, this is around 20,000 vehicles more delivered than last quarter. And for those who are unaware, we should always expect Tesla's best quarters to typically be in the second half of the year, simply because seasonally that's when most people end up buying new cars. And if you look throughout Tesla's history, they always seem to see incredibly high numbers in the fourth quarter. But if this general trend continues, and I think that it's probably going to grow exponentially for the second half of 2021, but if it were to grow linearly and we just had a growth of around 20,000 extra vehicles per quarter into Q3 and Q4, then that would mean Tesla would deliver around 850,000 vehicles this year. Already, that's significantly more than the 500,000 they did last year, but because the Model S has just started ramping, and I do think we're actually going to start reporting Model X deliveries in the third and fourth quarter as well. Not to mention, there's a good chance of Giga Texas and Giga Berlin coming online within the fourth quarter and starting deliveries in those areas. I would not be surprised at all if Tesla ends up breaking deliveries for the year of 900,000 vehicles, closing in on that 1 million mark. But ultimately, Tesla's initial goal was to just kind of expect 50% growth year after year, not 100% growth every year, although it would be amazing if they did that. So in order to keep up with that 50% growth trend, they basically just have to break 750,000 vehicles, which at this point seems incredibly likely and simple for them to achieve. They listed around 1,900 vehicles delivered for Model S and X, but because the X factory line has been shut down for so long and Tesla just started deliveries of the Plaid Model S, my guess is that pretty much all of those 1,900 vehicles are Model S's that have been refreshed, and a lot of those are going to look great on the balance sheet because they're going to be high revenue, high profit vehicles that a lot of those Plaid trims are going to be well over the $120,000, $130,000 price point. And we know from the last earnings report that these updated Model S's are actually cheaper to build than the Model S's they were replacing, thanks to aerodynamics and efficiencies in the powertrain. We also know they're using smaller battery packs, which probably helps with the cost of making them, despite having higher ranges than the vehicles they replaced, which is cool. So I think there's a huge profit margin on those 1,900 vehicles, and Elon Musk anticipated that by the third quarter, the Model S would start approaching 1,000 vehicles a week. So expect that Model S and X category to grow pretty substantially into this next quarter and the fourth. And of course, it's a nice bonus that the production number was actually well over 206,000 vehicles, which means there's quite a bit probably still being transported, stuck on boats or on delivery trucks that gets to be delivered into next quarter, with just over 204,000 of those vehicles being Model 3 and Y. And Tesla has been pretty consistent with just breaking down the differences between the S and X and the 3 and Y, but because the 3 and Y are getting so popular and taking over so much of the markets they're in, I really hope Tesla in the future could start offering Model 3 sales separate from Model Y. I get that they have a lot in common and their price points are pretty similar, so at the end of the day it probably doesn't matter too much, but just for my own interest, I would love to see how many vehicles are being delivered compared to the crossover market versus sedan market. And I think we should expect a fairly profitable quarter once that earnings call starts at the end of this month. And hopefully at that earnings call we can get a few updates on whether it be Cybertruck production, how Giga Texas is going, when they expect Tesla Semi deliveries to begin. And also my biggest question, if I got to join an earnings call that I would love to hear answered from Tesla, is how they plan on introducing this second generation Model Y from the Giga Texas facility that's going to have a structural battery pack, 4680s, probably going to have the next generation paint shop as well. How are they going to introduce that alongside the Fremont made Model Ys that are still going to be using 2170 cells? My best bet is that the 4680 Model Y coming out of Texas will just be the performance trim at first, but because it's using those new cells, it's going to have insanely good range, probably some improvements in performance as well thanks to the weight savings, and the Fremont factory will just be reserved for the cheaper Model Ys, maybe even bring back the standard range option, which has recently reappeared for the Hong Kong market as the Model Y is just launching there. They're charging around $42,000 for it, so I want the standard range Y to come back, obviously, and maybe by having the extra production capacity at Giga Texas, Fremont will be able to do that, but I haven't heard official confirmation with Tesla on how they plan on releasing the second generation Model Y with the updated cells that are way better alongside the current Model Y and selling those in the same market. Otherwise, everyone's going to want the Texas-made Model Y and no one's going to want the Fremont-made Model Y. So how do those two coexist with each other? I'm not sure, but very happy Tesla is able to break records again. This is honestly starting to get a little bit typical, to the point that we want Tesla to do even more than break records. They have to extremely set the bar high for themselves so that they can break these records again next quarter, and I think there's going to be a lot of high volume as well as a lot of high profit margins on next quarter's vehicles as well. Feel free to let me know what you guys think of these numbers. Do you think that Tesla has a shot of delivering 1 million vehicles this year, or is that just getting too unrealistic? Thank you all for watching. Hope you have an excellent rest of your day. Take care.